Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chops Podcast. My name is Steve Peterson.
And I am Jack Hinkle.
Welcome to the podcast where we talk about the teaching trifecta, also known as knowing your students, knowing your content, and knowing your teaching. Hello. Happy last Monday of April, Jack. Jack, you made it through ISMA Contraband Contest this past weekend.
It's over. Wait, why are you talking like really calm today? Is there a reason you're like bringing it?
I want to sound like a podcaster.
You sound like you're on WVPE. That's not a bad thing.
Okay, here we go. What do you got? You had a big weekend. Well, Thursday and Friday, Concord hosted the Indiana State School Music Association organizational contest for choirs, bands, and orchestras. Okay. We went Thursday from like 4 to, I think the last group site read at like 10:15 both nights. I'm sure that's like a really, really good, like, focused. Oh, we do have some good stories about that, by the way. So yeah, two nights, 4 to 10 p.m. plus of choir one night and then band and orchestra. We call that instrumental on the next night. And we both hosted as the staff and like worked the contest and then took our own groups on Thursday and Friday, depending on which group we went in. And every Concord group that performed did very well. Good.
Why are you laughing?
Because I reached out to you over the weekend, like wondering how the bands did or how your groups did during performance. And I was thinking about that podcast episode. I didn't say, and you said they did really well. They performed really well. We are very pleased with them. Then I did not say wrap up and say, well, what score did they get?
Oh, because we talked.
Yeah, I didn't say you to spit in the
microphone. That's right, because we said you like, yeah, ask them how that goes, and I'll tell them. But you said it felt like. Did you say it felt icky, or you said it was?
Yeah, it feels icky, because people say, hey, how'd your band do? How'd they perform? It really means that you get a gold.
Right.
What's your rating?
Yeah. Did you make it through? You
right.
Okay? Yeah. No, we got gold. Everyone got gold.
Gold for everyone.
Gold for everyone. No, it was a good time. Yeah, I sent Steve some interesting gifts the week leading up to it.
Yeah, I was a little worried about Jack.
Yeah, I'm pretty dramatic, I guess. It's fine. No, but the groups did very well. They did get the gold. They were under that point threshold to achieve that. And we did our little wrap up today. And now we're onward to Band Festival, where we play Anchors Away, God Bless America, and the opener, Boundless Spirit. A total banger. And then we're about to ready to wrap up the school year. We're getting there.
Wow.
Yes.
4 weeks of school left.
Yes. So our students had quite the busy weekend because a lot of them hosted, like they helped and volunteered at the show. They'll host other schools' groups and show them around the school. There'll be a runner for the judge, runner for music scores, taking those back and forth, or they're a door monitor. They're running an info table. There's a lot of things that go into this contest, and a lot of that couldn't be done without the students. So if you're listening and you were a student that helped, thank you for all you did. And after ISMA, Saturday was prom.
Prom. Did you go to prom?
This weekend, I did not. I did not go. Did you go?
No, I didn't. I didn't really hear anything about it.
It's at the RV Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you that listen and you're not from this area, this is like, there's two things Elkhart's known for. And if you're a band director, you're probably aware that we're like the music instrument capital of the world. Is that still true? Or is it?
I think in quotation marks, but probably so many of them are outsourced, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, at one point it was pretty intense because the Bach factory, the Kahn factory, the Selmer, is that true?
Yeah,
they're all
Kahn,
here.
Selmer before it merged, and then we had Armstrong, you got Gemeinhardt flutes, you got Ludwig drums.
Yep.
Right?
So those were all made and manufactured in Elkhart. And
the other thing we're known for.
And the other thing we're known for is recreational vehicles, otherwise known as RVs. We are the RV capital of the world. And our prom was held at the RV Hall of Fame, which, yes, that is the thing. It's actually a beautiful space.
It's an amazing space. And so they have like a little museum there, walk through time RVs through the years in Elkhart, but they have an event center.
and it's quite nice.
Quite nice. So our prom was at the RV Hall of Fame. So those kids that went to prom did that whole thing, and then the tradition at most schools,
Tradition.
is that most school thing? I think it is, right? Or is it
All the cool
all
schools.
the cool
do.
schools do it? Is that the Monday after prom is known as Senior Skip Day. So if you are a senior, it's not an excused absence, but a lot of seniors choose not to come to school on this day.
Yeah.
And the class sizes today were a little bit smaller. I was told the hallways were a little bit more open than normal, and the parking lot was pretty much wide open.
Oh yeah, that's true. Parking lot, I think, is the big one.
Yeah, that's where you notice it. So there were many teachers today that did not have full classes, and I'm sure there are many different opinions on this, but we were talking about this ahead of time, that can be a lonely feeling. And Steve and I used to teach the wind ensemble last year, which was the top group at this school. And this week for wind ensemble is the state qualifications week. And so that group is really high stakes coming into this week for their final performance or not final performance if things go well, on Saturday.
Yeah.
And you come into school on Monday and almost half to 3/4 of your band is possibly not there.
Right. And so it sets a different feeling. Something in the air tonight, as Phil Collins would say. Boom, boom.
That's true.
So, so part of it, it's school tradition, right? Community tradition. It's just like what kids do. So it's like COVID. It's like it doesn't matter what you think about it. It's like the weather. It doesn't matter what you think about it. It happened, and there were consequences, and that just happened. So it doesn't matter if you like. I learned to come to terms with it at a very early time in my life because I thought a part of it was ridiculous, but my son skipped. I was like, sure, I don't care. I mean, I do care. I didn't mean like that, but that's just kind of what everybody did. And I thought I would say the same thing every year to kids. It'd be like, for the kids that have 1 or 2 sick days for the entire school year, I think this is a really wonderful thing, and it kind of binds your class together and do something to your buddies, make memories, right? But if you're a kid that's rolling in with 70 absences, like...
Yeah, your 1.4 GPA.
Yeah,
This isn't for
I
you.
don't really think that's the same. And I don't like it when underclassmen jump on it too.
Right.
By, like Sarah get like a junior is like, well, I'm just going to skip because my boyfriend's a senior,
Yeah, no one's going to be here at school, so why should I go to school? Yeah. You're right. That's not good. Well, I think it's probably helpful for some teachers to hear you kind of play the devil's advocate side of it and say, no, there could be some good things to come out of this.
Oh. Yes.
Because as a teacher, isn't the expectation for us to go, nope, no reason you need to not be at school. You have to be here because we're expected to be here. We're expected to learn. We're expected to get things done. And gosh darn it, you have a performance on Saturday, so you better lock in. Isn't that the expectation kind of for us to say?
Yes, that is the expectation. And I think I just followed in the footsteps of like Max Jones early on. He was like, it's senior skip day. We'll see you Monday night at rehearsal. See, the wind ensemble has a rehearsal tonight. So there's like a little bit of excitement because the kids are in school all day. Then you're like, well, who's going to be there in the evening?
Yeah.
Which in the past has been very well attended.
Yeah.
It's not been a problem, but
Yeah.
kids just take off during the day. So I never got into the arena of wanting to like argue with the kids or saying it was like not worthwhile. I just felt like that. It didn't really matter what I thought because it was going to happen. And there was no way I was going to put a guilt trip on a kid. If that's their like one moment in time to skip school, like that was not it. And so what you end up with is this class reduced to numbers, but then you make a go of it.
Yeah.
And I can remember times with the top concert band with having the seniors gone, like having a good rehearsal. Like the instrumentation was wonky, but the rehearsal itself was good.
Sure.
Right? Now jazz band gets a little tricky. When you get down to a jazz band, you got like 5 or 6 kids left.
Today, Jazz 1 had 6 kids. I might be including myself in the 6. I think I am. We had 2 trumpets. We had 3 trombones. No, that would be 6. 2 trumpets, 3 trombones, a drummer, and then I played guitar just to give some harmonic backbone.
Wow, yeah.
So that was, quite a wonky instrumentation for that group. So that class was severely affected by the senior skip day. And then AP Music Theory, we were at about a little under half attendance, or maybe right at half attendance. So, but, AP Theory, you can do whatever you want. You can still teach or not teach or alter it. So I think it would be wise, Steve, if we kind of explored how we maybe alter the lesson plan or choose not to alter the lesson plan when attendance is severely affected. And, the concept here, the vehicle is senior skip day, but you could, change that out with like state testing. You could change it out with, COVID, as we all went through that. I mean, there are many variables, or field trips, or whatever.
Whatever pulls out many kids, right?
And it is easy to go, nah, we're not going to do anything today. Just get out your phones and sit. But I think it can be, I know it is more fun when you actually do stuff. And, I will tell you, my jazz band rehearsal today was not at all typical to a normal jazz band rehearsal. But I would say it was still productive and a little more laid back and kind of fun. So I've seen some of your rehearsals where you have very few kids.
Yeah.
Especially in jazz bands. What did that look like for you when you were teaching jazz band?
Well, when it got to jazz band, if we were like slim single digits, like 5, a lot of it ended up, let's talk about the seniors.
Wait, are you serious?
No. We did. It would be a time to talk, but then also it did lend itself to usually just definitely a laid back approach, but exploring something maybe that the band was having trouble with, but just doing that in an isolated way, in a much slower way, in a much deliberate way, which everybody was able to like kind of build some confidence on. I do have good memories of those rehearsals. As soon as I got out of my head that something was wrong, okay, that like I had to make an excuse for something. All right. I think like for wind ensemble, thinking about a traditional concert band, and then you're looking at, 60% are in attendance. I think a lot of times it was like, okay, here we go. Senior steps guy. Here we go. F concert. Right. And just kind of go and to say, let's see what we get into. Let's see what we find. Let's see what successes are there or what failures might be creeping around the corner. But try to approach it from we have some things we want to take care of, and let's see what we can do.
Did it ever feel like kids were less motivated to learn or work than on another day because of the absences?
I usually felt like with the concert band situation that I thought the effort was better.
Interesting.
Because they have more a piece of it. Their percentage is worth more that day of the total ensemble.
And likely, too, if they didn't feel like putting in effort, they probably wouldn't have been at school that day.
Right.
So you have a little bit of,
Right.
That's how it plays out that way. I always found, too, that the jazz band ones were the kids, like kind of a similar thing. Like they had a bigger piece of the pie because there were fewer kids and they wanted to do more, and they were kind of interested in playing and exploring, seeing what stuff would sound like with, a smaller room, smaller instrumentation.
Yeah,
that's real.
Then also, with the jazz band, with the smaller group, it does isolate the underclassmen and say, well, this is what we're looking at for returners next year. It kind of gives that spin to it.
That's true too.
And so I thought that was a time to actually even look ahead. And then you had that time at the end of the school year that the seniors leave and you have a few kind of dead,
yeah.
few dead days at the end of the school year that
That'll be fun.
that are tough.
Yeah.
But I think, I think about those classes, and like another day that sticks out to me would be like the SAT day.
Yeah.
Seniors, please don't come to school that day because you need to do a job shadow or a college visit, right?
Yep.
And so the seniors were told not to come to school because they needed the school to be more accessible for the juniors to take the SAT, and freshmen and sophomore, there are things. But anyway, you get out to 7th period marching band and you'd be there without the seniors. And there's something about like when attendance hits a group, maybe you have like a sickness, right? Or maybe you're at a Wednesday night rehearsal and there's like a number of kids from a certain athletic team gone, that I feel like responsible in some ways for like the attendance of the group.
You feel responsible.
I feel responsible
for the people that are not there.
Well, and then I feel so responsible for the students that are there, just making sure there's not like a change in energy or approach or like any kind of, well, this is a bummer. Of not wanting to let that slip. And I would take that like very personally or very personally. Didn't want that energy or that expectation or the, this is awkward, but let's just do it anyway, right? I don't know. I just felt like guarded for the kids. I didn't want them to be bummed out.
So how did you teach differently?
No.
Okay, so that was just all in here.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I like a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want the kids to have a bad experience, like
Sure.
bummed out because half the class was gone and it sounded and it looked weird.
Oh, yeah, and for marching band, that could totally happen. Do you remember in the COVID days, we had like A days and B days?
Yes.
And we had A drill kids and B drill kids.
Yes.
And their charts were just not coordinated at all.
Yes. It was a mess.
We had like, if we were smarter, or it wasn't about smart, we just didn't know what was coming.
Right.
Because when we assign our drill numbers at Concord to be pretty like, we try and divvy up the age groups essentially. Like we don't want all the seniors standing next to each other in the section. So when we assign drill numbers, we just did it by like age essentially. And if we were figuring it out, we would have put all the A kids in spots next to each other and all the B day kids who came on like Thursday and Tuesday together. Because when the kids got out to the practice field, we're like trying to teach them how to guide. And they're like, what do I guide to? And you're like, I don't know, that stick that was there Monday too.
Right.
Yeah. That's tough. That's tough because you do want them to have a good experience, but some factors are not within your control. And attendance is definitely one of those things not in your control.
Right. I think then on the other side of it, getting away from my just like self-consciousness about it, wanting the students to feel like they're still having a productive time in rehearsal, I do think there's times when you have reduced instrumentation. Let's just call it reduced instrumentation that day. That it can be kind of like resistance training.
How so?
Well, I can remember times like working with a band and there would be no tuba section, right? And how much of the time that in a rehearsal in a band you think and talk and acknowledge the tubas, right? And how much your sound, like your interpretation of what the band should sound like when the tubas are playing, obviously, what that involves and is so much a part of the tubas. But then you take the tubas out of there, then you're like, well, what's left? Like, how do we balance it to the bass clarinets? How do we balance it to the bari sax? Like, what would you do if this was your ensemble? Like, how would you make this work? Mm-hmm. How do you make it sound good, even though you're without your brass bass instruments? And I can remember specific rehearsals of no sections available, like for the tuba, no players available, and just having very thoughtful and attentive and hardworking rehearsals because they were trying to make it work without a very key component of the ensemble.
I think that's well said.
Thank you.
And I remember you would do those sorts of techniques even if the kids were there, right? I remember you saying, let's bounce to the horns,
Yeah.
bounce to the flutes, and giving those kids some opportunities. But you're right, like using what's there or not there to be a strength
Yeah.
of the room. Similarly, in jazz band, when your drummer's gone,
Oh.
right? And we have a harmony director in the band room, which has the backtrack of the drum beat.
Yeah.
And I know you, like, if a bass player is gone, you'll sometimes just play like a walking bass on
Yeah.
the synthesizer. And it wasn't, we had drummers in both bands today, but recently a drummer was absent to like take a test or something. So I turned on the,
Yeah.
and it's amazing how when you use that, when the band gets quieter, the keyboard stays the same tempo. And when the band gets louder, the keyboard still stays. Do you know they do that?
Yeah,
Do you know
I've
you
heard
can
that.
stay the
I've
same
heard.
tempo when you change dynamics?
I've heard that's
Because
possible.
sometimes.
That's why we never change dynamics. I don't want the tempo to change.
Yeah,
it.
it's
Okay.
more about the tempo. Can't have it all. Yeah, some concepts we've been working on have to do with keeping the tempo the same while you get louder and while you get softer. And we were doing that, and the horns were just getting cooked by that. They're like trying to slow down or speed up based on the softer or louder. But then a couple times doing that, it got better. And I was like, oh, metronomes do work. What do you know?
Yeah.
What do you know? And so, would we have discovered that eventually? Sure. But, having the drummer absent that day was like, oh, this is a good reminder that there are skills to work on when a drummer's absent. So that stuff will show up.
Yeah, and that's also a good time too. Like going back to something you said about apparently something I said, but I do remember this. But like this is a little off topic, but it has to do with reduced or reimagined instrumentation. But like if you're playing through a chorale book, something like that, you're doing some kind of familiar warm up in your band, and usually you're focusing on group one or the bass instruments, whatever you call them, right? And that usually there's some kind of imagery that we use in rehearsals, like try to fit your sound inside the sound of the basses, right? And that kind of thing. But to like play a Bach chorale, but have the French horns be the lead, like balance to the French horns. So French horns play like you are the dominant part that should be heard above everything else, and then everybody else balance to the French horn. So it makes the players that are on, like the French horns, to play louder and to play confident, but then it makes the others to search earnestly for the other part that's there that they usually maybe can't pick out as strongly.
And this is something that I think that overall concept that you and I got into this last year in Wind Ensemble.
Okay.
Because we tried to stop saying, like, this section softer here, this section louder here. Because if you're a student musician and you're just told to play softer or you're just told to play louder, that's kind of a nebulous request. Like, there's no baseline for it or, like, guideline of where you hit it. So we started to try and find, I remember doing this for the March, like, we tried to find give students sections to say, if you can't hear this section, you're too loud or you're too soft or whatever. So you're going to balance to this section here. And we started using that more in like a symphonic band. Like there's a flute solo. I mean, this is kind of low hanging fruit, but there's a flute solo in one of the tunes we played. So we wrote her name in our music at
There
that
you go.
measure. So it's like you
Perfect.
got to find her. And it seems it's baseline, but it's a step above saying, play softer, you're not the melody. It's saying, like, are you able to hear this? Or,
Right.
There's this moving line in the horn alto part, right? Bounce this. So some more objective tasks you're assigning students rather than softer, louder.
Right.
That's the concept.
And it seems like when you get into something like that, you do go back a few episodes and talk about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, right? So we're talking about like intrinsic musicianship, something that you can apply universally,
There you go.
right? As opposed to forte means loud, and it really doesn't use all it uses is my lips and my lungs to feel what forte is, but it doesn't really tell me like the context and how I learn to apply that, right?
Yeah. That's a good point. So that is like overarching concept of senior skip day. And then Steve, you had said we want to go back into just like the concept of like attendance in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to tee that up for you in a second, let you think about that. I will share what we did in both of my small classes today.
Okay, please share.
We did in Jazz 1. Usually we do more improvisation on those days because that's a more universal skill you don't need the whole band to be there for.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a couple kids play some solos on some tunes we don't normally do. We did do some prom updates. We talked about some prom things. And then we just kind of played some of the tunes and did some solos and tried out some different stuff. So, it's kind of a normal class, but we probably spent more time talking than we would on a normal day. We spent more time improvising on a normal day. 6 kids, they were into it. And all but one student in that class likes to take solos. So that one student abstained, which is fine. And then in music theory, if you're listening to the podcast and you're a theory in my student class or a student in my theory class, please know you should be sad that you missed this day because we did play Among Us in the piano lab, but we played like music theory Among Us, where we do like I put them up on the headphones. I think I've talked about this before. I put them on the headphones and I will make everybody but one person able to hear me. And then I'll ask a question or like play something on the piano and the kids have to write their answer.
And one person doesn't have any idea.
And one person has no idea what the question is. So they just have to write some nonsense. For example, we started pretty baseline today. We're in the review process for AP Music Theory as our test is in 2 weeks from today. And I played an interval on the piano. Like I would just play do, and the kids have to know like major sixth.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have to write out like major sixth. And if you don't know, you're just guessing or you're cheating and looking off of somebody else, which I encourage cheating if they're the imposter because that's the only way you can get a question right. Okay. So I do encourage cheating for that one moment. And then we take all their answers and I can cast their screens and put them on the big TV.
Okay.
And then I let them discuss who they think the imposter is. So if everyone has major sixth and one person has like minor second, chances are it's that person.
Does everybody know it's going to be an interval?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be an interval. So you put in your answer there. So at least there's some context.
Okay,
so.
I thought it was going to be like someone's like, compound time.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh,
clearly
buddy.
you're the imposter.
So they had a good time, and that class knows each other pretty well, and even the 8 kids that were there. So they were kind of getting into it in like a funny way. And they had a good time. They liked it. And then we came back, and then we did what I like to call self-esteem boosting, which we got into the AP classroom sample responses from sight singing.
Okay.
Have you ever listened to those?
No.
Dude, it's kind
you
of
can listen to other people sing?
yeah. They take all the past like maybe I want to say 5 to 10 year tests,
Okay.
and they'll take all of the FRQs, those are free response questions, and they'll provide what the question was, and then they'll provide 3 answers that are real that students did in those tests. They'll provide what they call an excellent, a fair, and a poor response. And you can look at them, or if they're the audio questions, you can listen to them. So our students are getting very concerned about sight singing, as now is the time that they do that. And we were going to practice sight singing today. We'll do it tomorrow when we have more people. But we listened to some responses, and I've been playing them a lot of the fair responses, like those will get you like, they're each out of 9 points. They'll get you like a 5. Which 5 out of 9 doesn't sound like a good score, but in the grand scheme of the test, it is considered fair, which would probably earn you, I'm guessing, like a 3,
Yeah.
right? And so we listened to some fair responses, and they don't sound good.
Okay.
And there were like clearly some issues going on, but the kids are like, "Oh my gosh, that got a 5 out of 9." I'm like, "You have hope," So we'll do some of those,
Okay.
and we'll listen to some of the excellence, and then kids ask, "Can we listen to the pours?" And I'm like, "Sure." It's exactly what you think it is.
Okay.
So those are fun.
So for students, they can like identify with that or go, at least I'm not that guy.
Yeah, right. Right.
Distant shaming.
Yes.
I'm not way down there.
And we're not doing it. I mean, there is a certain element of that, but also like I do think some students, and maybe this is like centric to my class, but I'm guessing it's like all AP Music Theory students think that they just have no shot at the sight singing, and then they're not interested in
But
practicing.
being close
But being
works
being
in
close
that,
works.
in that type of test format.
And so trying to give the students some motivation, like, no, you'll be okay if you work at this for like 2 weeks. You'll be okay. So we did that.
Very good.
So
job.
attendance in general, what are the
Okay.
thoughts that are coming to you?
Wednesday night, 6 p.m., rehearsal starts. You have a sectional. And the kids see at 6 p.m. and a hush falls on the room because it's 6. And everybody's at their standby. And you take a look around and everybody's there. Is that not like a great feeling?
It's luscious. It's luscious.
Everybody there on time, ready to go. And that's like how you start. Isn't that just a beautiful thing? Or when you have a performance and everybody's getting dressed up. Maybe it's the tuxes and concert dresses or whatever they're wearing. And they all show up and they're all dressed up. And they're all in their seats, ready to go at the right time. And everybody's there. That is such like a gift. That's like such a great thing. And I cherish those moments. And it wasn't like, I think my groups had fine attendance, probably better than average, right? As far as like where I knew kids were. But it did stick with me. Like if we took attendance and I knew a student was gone because they had soccer practice, they were going to be coming in late, or there was drama and the play kids were coming in late, or, you know, I had mental notes of that or notes in my notebook or whatever. But then if there was like 1 or 2 kids unaccounted for, like maybe they came in 5 minutes late. Maybe they got caught by a train, which is very possible at Concord High School. Or maybe they just fell asleep and they slept past their alarm. Whatever. But when there's 1 or 2 students gone that I didn't know where they were, that really distracted me. Maybe it didn't distract me in the fact that I showed it to the kids, but I should say it distracted, like it stayed with me. Like I knew those gaps were there all the time. I was really aware of that. And so I guess it was like part of it was like selfish, that I wanted that feeling of everybody being there. But I've also, I didn't like the feeling like I didn't know where kids were. Like having to call, like, are they okay? And we have that, you know, we have the system at Concord. Anytime we're at a rehearsal and somebody doesn't show up, in marching band, the drum majors call home. And to make sure, just to be sure, home and band are on the same page, that we know where the child is, right? It's more of a safety issue, and just that. So, I guess I'd like to focus more on the positivity of attendance. Like when you're getting ready, like in these weeks before ISMA contest, and you're getting ready for a rehearsal, or it's meeting time for your performance, and everybody is there and you're ready to go, that is like such a gratifying feeling. And especially like in a music class, because it's optional. I mean, they don't have to take it for credit. They decided to, and it's extracurricular. I just always thought that was like such a bonus, you know? And because part of it, Jack, you may say, well, why is that? Because we told the kids, Jack and I have told the kids many times, like we want everybody to be there. We hope everybody is going to be there, but we know, and that's our expectation, is that you're going to show up, but also know it's always a choice that you come to rehearsal. And that it's always a choice that you're there on time. Sans, you know, a car accident, heaven forbid, or a train, or somebody gets sick all of a sudden. But, you know, you have a choice most of the time to be on time. and you have a choice to attend rehearsal and to have all your things. And to have like a room full of 50, 60 kids all ready to go, I think that's like such a great evidence of the system is working.
So is the flip side true of that if they're not all there, the system's broken?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I always internalize that.
Do you think that's true?
I do.
You think it's your fault if the kids aren't there?
No, I've had to learn that. No, but I feel like the system is broken if all the kids are there. Disregarding kids that are sick, but just the random absences that show up because of not a good excuse, or I stayed home to do homework. Don't go ahead and DM me on this. I'm just saying.
No, DM him. We
No.
want the interaction.
No, but I don't want that to be like a regular part of my teaching day. Kids that are just skipping randomly.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting harder and harder to lock down 100% all the time.
Why is it harder?
I don't know, Jack, but I just think that there's a lot of distractions, but also there's a lot more available excuses. I know that sounds so bad. I don't think my kids are trying to come up with excuses, but
I think more distractions is fair. Like, think of the excuses you would hear from a student you had in 2004
right,
compared to 2024.
right,
There's probably more to choose from these days.
right. And I don't think kids are inherently bad at all. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, speaking from my positive, it is so great when everything is like clicking. And then when it's not, I'm like thinking like, how do we need to fix this? Like, why isn't this better? And I don't know. I think I just internalized that so much that it was probably not healthy. There, I said it.
I said it. Yeah, speaking of unhealthy things we do as teachers, I did the thing that you used to say not to do, which is check the Power School attendance at the beginning of the day just to see who's there. Today I think it's fine because I knew it was going to be
we're
bad.
talking about checking the attendance roster before your band actually meets. So, like, if you have a 6th period jazz band or fifth period jazz band.
I checked 5th period jazz at like 2 p.m. I was like, oh, good God, that's a lot of pop-ups.
Right. Yeah. Which does you no good. I don't know.
I think it's fine. Well, it did.
got
I think it did do me good because then I knew how to lesson plan. I'm like, am I going to rehearse today or are we going to have a 6-person improvisation masterclass? That's kind of how I looked at it.
I had to stop doing that because I really didn't like the way it made me feel.
Yeah. Sure. I get that. But I was just so curious. I just had to check. Yeah.
But there is something so fun though about being an ensemble and like everybody getting together and like the buzz of it, right? And the kids coming in and like, you know, like the positive energy, and then like everybody's accounted for, and that like feels good. You know, especially like when you would have those insane rehearsals like around ISMA semi-state marching band time where we would have to meet, you know, like 5 o'clock or something like that in the morning. And I'm sure bands that do all kinds of crazy other contests, you got to meet at midnight, whatever. But it's just like when you had success with that, with everybody coming together, even though it was like a little uncomfortable, it was like so gratifying. I thought it just like really helped the vibe. Maybe it was just me, but I thought it was good.
I'd be interested to know what the kids feel if like 2 people, like if you have a section of 30 clarinets in marching band and like 2 are gone. Do the kids notice? Do the kids feel a difference? I mean, I'm sure some notice, but do all?
Mm-hmm.
You know, wonder if that makes a difference to the vibe, or if it's just really like you said, is it just you?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Right.
I mean, jazz. I would say for jazz band, it's different when not everyone's there. But you have a 20-piece band, not a 200-piece marching band. You know. And jazz band rehearsals are way more fun when everyone's there, because then it is like the full group.
Yes.
And I think jazz bands have a little more authentic way of ebbing and flowing in the response to what's going on around them compared to a marching band. So being able to get everybody in there is different. Yeah, I'm not going to check the attendance for a while, Steve. So don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Now in my role as teaching at Aspire, I'm just glad every kid is there whenever they're there. But it's like, okay, what are we going to work on today?
Yeah.
You know, like where do we get to push and pull today? You know, what adventures are we going to have based on who's there, which is positive.
There you go. And you're right. Like, it's not right to look at the 2 that are gone. We got to look at the 28 that are there. And you used to, like you kind of said this, but your expectation, even though it's required, is never your attendance, even though it's never required. I'm butchering this so
Say
bad.
it. Say it.
Even though your attendance is required, it is never taken for granted.
That's what it is.
That's what
Thank
it is.
You.
You used to say that quite a bit, and we've said that before, and I hope that comes off authentic to the kids, because I mean it authentically. I always think that one gets slippery.
You do.
I know I do, but I'm saying, they're like, yeah, it's not required to be here, but then why would I get a 0 if I don't show up? Or, like, whatever. But
I know,
you're
but
right. They can
beyond
still
that,
choose.
Beyond that, they choose to come. Every darn rehearsal you have, they choose to come to it. They choose to come on time. And I think that's such a great thing. And then when you're together, it's like, yeah, heck yeah, let's roll.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's attendance. That's senior skip day. That's it.
Okay, so we're going to only have like 4 more episodes. And we're going
No!
on summer
Oh,
vacation.
that's so sad. You're right. Are we going to record it? You going to record over the summer?
Let's do a couple.
Let's do a couple. Yes, we got some busy summers ahead of us. Busy summers.
Someone's got a busy summer.
Yep. Yep.
Does Chop Nation know what's going on? Yeah, they do.
I haven't said anything on the air. Chops Nation, I'm getting married.
Oh! And it's coming up.
Yeah, in 6
6
weeks.
7, yep.
Just
Very good.
one day shy of
6.
it. Unironically, it's 6 or 7 weeks. I don't remember. Yep, getting married this summer.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yep.
Jack
Oh,
and
it's
his
happening.
True love. They're getting married. We're all gonna celebrate and
That's true. Steve's going.
it's
He
gonna be-
RSVP'd. I already saw
I
it.
was the first one.
He was
in.
the first one. You knew that you were the first RSVP?
No, but I got the letter in the mail that day or the envelope, and I was like, I'm in, because I know how those wedding invitations go. Like somehow they end up in the back of the.
Yeah, I did have to text 4 people yesterday
Yep.
because they're getting due.
Yeah.
And the 4 people are all people you know.
Yeah.
Just said, hey, just checking.
Wait, is my wife going?
Well,
She
didn't you?
should be. Yeah. Okay. Good. You didn't have to text her, did you? Because I think I spoke for her. Okay.
Anything
it's
else?
Very exciting though that Jack is getting married, and they're gonna have a lovely wedding, and so we can maybe we can do show prep for that
You want to do a live episode during the wedding?
during the wedding. Let me commentate the wedding.
Boo, do, do, do.
Hello, everyone.
You're
Welcome to
comment-
Shh.
Oh, I almost did. I almost sang Pomp and Circumstance. That's not the same thing.
Okay.
That's a
So
different thing.
thank you for listening today. Be sure to like and to follow on all our socials. Be sure to follow and leave us those comments and ratings on Apple Podcast or Spotify Podcast. We appreciate you so much. Our Western United States tour will be starting late summer, so we're really excited to get that off the
Yep.
ground.
Check out the GoFundMe for that.
Okay. So for Steve Peterson,
Jack Hinkle.
we're out of here.
That's it.